you mentioned briefly earlier about your sub numbers, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on analysis when it comes to your content. Do you analyze it? Do you look at what's worked, what's not worked, with a view to maybe, I don't know, doubling down on different ideas or that sort of thing? How much attention do you pay to it?
That's an interesting one because I've had this time and time again where I've paid attention and I've really like gone down the rabbit hole of trying to replicate certain things or try, if something that was a success, how do you repeat that? How do you do
Yeah.
that? And it's never worked. And yet I've produced something that I thought was absolute shit, and I've rushed it because I ran out of time, and it's performed really well. And I'm like, I just don't get it. It makes no sense. And so I genuinely have stuff that I've thrown together because it was like, shit, I haven't got a video out this week. Uh, and I've done all the research and stuff. I just hadn't had the time to film and edit. And so
Yeah.
I put together what I thought was one of my worst videos, and then it performs really well. And you just think, don't really know what to do with that.
Is there an element of, I mean, you've been doing this for a while now. Is there an element of, and I guess there's so much resource out there about how to create and how to, what you should focus on. Is there an element that you know what the theory is and what you should be doing, and you do that, and then actually, as long as you adhere to that theory, looking at your sort of retention graphs and the rest of it afterwards are not as important as they used to be?
I don't think so, mainly because I'm the worst at actually doing the things that I know that I should do.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm like, I know I should be better at this. I know I should be better at this. Uh, and
What's the
then I
one
and then I
thing? What's
just
the one
ignore
thing
my
you find a challenge?
my well, because, like just generally, I'm trying to stick to like if I try and make an outline script, I hate
Yeah.
scripts in general because I think it's not a very good way to have like it come across organically. And I think one of the hardest things about creating content online is finding your voice, but finding out what your persona, like who you are, because we often try and replicate the channels that we think we should be like, and that means that
We
we're
all
not
we all
being
want to
true.
be Casey Neistat.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
well, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and so you need to find your style, but also be true to yourself, because that's why people are ultimately going to engage in your content. They could get your content from anywhere, but I've tried some. I watch a ton of YouTube, and it could be anything. It could be like van builds, car builds. I
Yeah.
literally have such a spectrum of YouTube that I watch, and I've tried sometimes to watch people recommend stuff like try this guy, and you can't. I can't engage with them, and it's just
Mhm.
nothing against them as a person. It's I don't know what it is. I just can't. So you have to, and you've got to realize that as well. You've got to realize that some people just won't get on with your style or
Yeah.
your personality, and you're like, all right, that's fine. I'm okay with that. But you still have to be true to that. So I think that when you try and when I try and do something really prescript, like create a script and stuff like that, and even if I'm outlined to that, I'm really terrible at sticking to it. I end up going off and things like that. And I know that to be better, I need to be more concise. Like to get better engagement, I need to be again, yeah, more concise, more planned, and really kind of hook people in that way. But then I'm like, yeah, but that's not me. I don't really think I can do that. So I know that I should be doing these things, but at the same time, I find it difficult to do those things because I don't feel as true to myself.
Have you changed your presenting style since you started?
100%, yeah, definitely. And I think it's just because when it when I was doing especially when it came back to like when I just started on the other channel as well, it was really awkward. I hated being like in front of the camera, like it was just terrible. And so you kind of get used to it, and you just assume that no one's going to watch, and most of the time they don't, so it's fine. And so, so you're just like whatever. No one's watching this, so I can just say what I like. And uh, and so you start to get more comfortable, and I think that's the thing. It's that comfort in front of camera, being able to just feel like you can be yourself and be a bit more natural. But then it's
Mm.
like, okay, I don't want to be too natural because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still need to like make it make sense. And so I've definitely changed. Not necessarily, I suppose it's finding my own rhythm. That's what
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
found a bit more. And instead of trying to replicate how others are, how others are being, it's trying to find myself a bit more. But like I said, you can't go too much that way because no matter what you do, you still need an element of. enthusiasm. And if I was just chatting and me and you are just chatting away here, and we're like just my voice is just normal, we're just having a conversation,
Yeah.
people just don't. That's not given enough. Like that's not given enough. And so I do think that when I'm recording, sometimes I'm like, okay, I got to record. And I'm like, okay, you've got to get yourself in that.
You can't see this, but what's really interesting, I got the sound graph along the bottom of my screen of your
Yeah,
mic performance, and you're like this, like this, like this, and then when you just did that little segment, and then it's just like,
yeah,
and then
exactly.
when you came back, it's kind
And
of
I think
it's a
that
really funny visualization of exactly what you just said.
yeah, and I think it's a complete difference having a conversation with someone just having a chat like my meetings at work versus you want someone to watch this for a period of time.
Yeah,
Like and so regardless of being yourself, you still have to bring yourself at a slightly elevated level. You have to bring yourself with enthusiasm. You want people to actually be enthusiastic about watching this or engaged. And so you could just sit there and just go, yeah, this is a thing, you should probably try this platform because it's great and I really like it and yeah, it's great. But you can't. You still have to elevate that slightly. So even though you're finding your own voice, you still have to make sure that you bring the most enthusiastic you to that. And that's not about
yeah.
changing yourself. It's just about trying to actually get that across.
Do you think that's what people struggle with, finding that balance between like that baseline and then that over YouTuber to sort of finding that middle? Do you think is that something that people struggle with?
Yeah, and I think it's definitely something that I think that people don't know how to be themselves. Like I
Yeah,
said, they're trying to mimic all these other people, and that's either the way they talk, the way they present, the way they put stuff across. And I think that then that you have to first find yourself before you can then find out what the next part is.
yeah.
So, and that's difficult because it is like an evolution. And for me, it was very much like, okay, I need to be this certain way. And then I'm like, yeah, but I don't feel like comfortable that way. So you've got to find comfort, but then you've got to like lift it up slightly. And so
How,
it's,
how,
I think that's the real struggle.